We'll call to order tonight's Committee of the Whole for the Auburn City Council meeting for February the 18th, 2025. The City Council should have the minutes from the Committee of the Whole of the February 4th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, is there a move to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes are carried forth. Metropolitan Planning Organization Citizens Advisory Committee. At the pleasure of the council, real quick, Ms. Whitten, I would like to ask the council. This is a different types of committee. It's almost an adjunct committee to the city. The city has a responsibility of appointing these citizens, but they work under the guise of the Lee Russell Council of Governments. The members that we have here tonight that's terms are ending. I firmly believe that a number of these people would consider taking a second term, which has been the tradition of the city council for people to serve at least 2 terms if that's what they'd like to do. I'm of the belief that they have not been contacted because of the nature of this board, because it doesn't fit right under a department here within the city. And I'd like to ask the city council to allow the portal to be reopened and these individuals to be contacted to see if in fact they would like to continue to serve. I firmly believe they're totally unaware that their term is up, to be honest with you, if the council's okay with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay, everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Crouch, do we need any type of motion for that, or is?
No, it's
I got
fine.
an approval.
If you have a majority okay with that, that's what we'll
Yes.
do. We'll reopen the portal tomorrow to appoint at the March 4th meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you,
And we'll
everybody's
also,
patience
staff
for
will
that and for
contact,
understanding.
that
Yeah.
will contact the incumbents.
Good. Thank y'all for doing that. We do have a nice list of applicants, and if in fact there are vacancies, we'll consider those applicants. Would this be at our next meeting, Ms. Crouch? Would we move
Yes.
this to the next meeting? Okay, so that'd be March the 4th. All right, any questions on tonight's agenda for the city manager? Anyone from the dais have a question? All right, Ms. Crouch, anything for us?
A few housekeeping things. Item 10B1 that was on the agenda published on Friday and in your binders has been removed. It'll return on March 4th. We need to make some legal adjustments. Everybody sitting in this room and online, if you pull up the agenda tonight, it's accurate. I also want to remind you, we replaced the agenda. Item 10D has a public hearing. That's a vacation of right-of-way. That has a public hearing associated with it. That's why you have an updated agenda. And then based on the action you just took, item 8F will be removed from consent, which is the appointment of the MPO members.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions? All right, so move to adjourn the committee of the whole.
So moved.
All right, we'll adjourn the committee of the whole, and for our audience, we'll get started right at 6 o'clock, so there are a couple minutes. We'll call to order tonight's Auburn City Council meeting for February the 18th, 2025. We welcome everyone who has joined us live here tonight, as well as those that are listening on WANI radio and that are watching through our streaming services. Lindsay, with the roll call.
Adams,
Here.
Oblitz,
Here.
Dawson,
Here.
Griswold,
Here.
Mormon,
Here.
Parsons,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Witten, here, Anders.
Here. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Earlier this evening during the Committee of the Whole, the City Council made a decision to reopen the portal for the Metropolitan Planning Organization Citizens Advisory Committee. And so we will reopen that tomorrow if you would like to apply. We do believe that there are at least 4 members whose terms are ending that would be eligible under the council's traditions to serve a second full term that are maybe unaware that that opportunity exists, and we'll be contacting those citizens a little bit later. We appreciate everybody's patience. Under Mayor's announcements tonight, I want to thank the staff and the teachers at Dean Road Elementary, Creekside Elementary, and Cary Woods for allowing me to come in during World Read Aloud Day and read to the children. There's really a lot of value in going and being a part of our children and participating in their classroom. And I always love the great questions that you get after it's over with. So thank you to all the staff for inviting me over to do that. Had a great experience recently with Auburn University's Advancement Department and their leads in their retreat, discussing what is going on in our community, as well as discussing leadership in general. These people have the charge of raising resources and funds for Auburn University, and they're talking to people from all over, literally all over the world. And they were very curious about the things that are sensitive about the city of Auburn and the questions they are asked by former graduates that are looking to maybe make an investment in Auburn. So I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that. The Darden Gala was a couple of Saturdays ago, and I want to congratulate Kathy Jo Ellison and Peggy Hansen. They are parish nurses in our community, and they were recognized and honored that evening for their work at the Darden Wellness Center. Dr. Darden was the first African-American doctor in our area. And this event raises money to provide scholarships for young people, mainly who are going to Auburn University, either in pharmacy, nursing, or at VCOM. I want to remind everyone that Household Hazardous Waste Day is March the 29th, as well as Trash Amnesty is March the 10th through April the 4th. Our outstanding environmental services team does a fantastic job with both of these events. This is your time to get rid of those things that you don't know what to do, or that we have told you that you can't put in your trash can or on the side of the street. And so this is your opportunity to get rid of those things. And please go to our city's website. All the information is on there about what we will take and when we will take that. And I appreciate the extra effort of our environmental services team. And the Auburn Community Orchestra will be having a concert on February the 25th. That information is also on our website as well. And I believe tonight that we have members of the Auburn High School FFA that are with us. Is that correct? And if you are, we'd love for you to come forward and tell us a little bit about what's going on in your organization.
Good evening. My name is Liza Ackerton, and I am the president of the Auburn Blue FFA chapter. This week, we are celebrating National FFA Week, a time to highlight agricultural education, leadership, and service. FFA Week is always busy for our chapter. We are hosting over 160 kindergarteners at Auburn High School for hands-on agriculture activities and reading agricultural books to special education students. These events help connect young learners to the importance of farming, food, and sustainability. I also want to take this opportunity to promote the Seed Library at the Auburn Public Library. This free resource allows community members to check out seeds, grow their own plants, and learn more about agriculture firsthand. To keep this program growing, we are also accepting seed donations. If you have any extra seeds, we encourage you to contribute and help more people experience the joy of gardening. I invite everyone to visit the seed library and consider making a seed donation. Thank you for your time and your support of agricultural education in the Auburn Blue FFA chapter.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward and sharing that with us. We hope y'all have a great week. Okay, anyone else on the council have an announcement that they'd like to make? Yes, sir, Mr. Mormon.
Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 23rd of February, the city will host the War Eagle Run Fest. My daughter, the athlete of the family, informs me that she will be running. There will be a half marathon and a 5K, and I would like to give my thanks to the Auburn Police Force for keeping us safe during this event and so many others. And events like this. As I understand it, the route runs through the streets of Auburn, through the old parts of Auburn mainly, and especially wards 5 and 6. And please correct me if I've got any of my details wrong, but that's the way I understand it. So it ought to be, I understand also there'll be a lot of traffic roadblocks set up and rolling roadblocks and things like that. Do you care to comment on that?
Certainly. I believe this is the third year that we're doing the half marathon, and it does include rolling roadblocks. Starts in the downtown area on Thatch Avenue, and we'll go down through Toomer's Corner and then turn on Glen, and then the route goes throughout the city. So we'll just caution everyone to be aware of the race this weekend and to be extra vigilant about the roadblocks and to avoid that area as the runners go through.
It does start early.
Yeah,
to help with that.
0700 on Sunday morning, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for those that would run about as fast as me, they may be still at it when people get out of church, but however, just be mindful of that area. There's routes available on our website, and we just want to keep everybody safe and for them to enjoy themselves. We also want to thank AO Tourism has worked very hard to put this on, and there's a tremendous amount that goes into it, and brings a lot of joy of people who have ties to Auburn to come and run the race.
Exactly. Thank you. Yep. Anyone else?
Yes,
Yes, Ms. Witt.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
okay. On this Saturday, I will be hosting a winter masquerade gala for, I'm not gonna say senior citizens, I'm gonna say 55 plus, okay? So, at Boykin Community Center, and it's gonna be from 3 to 6 p.m., and it's free to the public, so come out and enjoy food, fun, and entertainment.
Thank you, Connie. Ms. Whitten.
All right, while we're announcing fun things to do in the city of Auburn, Saturday, March the 1st, which is actually next Saturday, not this Saturday, the Crew de Tigris is hosting the 8th Annual Mardi Gras Parade in downtown Auburn at 2 p.m. And with the start of the basketball game at 12 p.m., it will be a very busy weekend in downtown, very busy Saturday in downtown Auburn. So come downtown, support the parade. It's the 8th annual. There'll be over 40 floats and participants. And again, I'd also like to echo the thanks to AO Tourism, the downtown merchants, and city departments who help to ensure the safety of the parade.
Mayor, if I may, just a quick reminder, that's Kentucky away.
Yes.
And also the parade route will close at 11:45 a.m. for those who pay attention to this. For safety reasons, we will be closing parade routes earlier than we used to. So apologize for any inconvenience, but safety is our number one priority.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor, as we all know, last week was a very stormy week here in Auburn, and I want to thank all our employees that worked very hard during those storms, especially the Auburn Fire and Police. They had to respond to my house where we found us trapped inside the house by a down power line Thursday morning, and they were very efficient and did a wonderful job. Just thankful that we have employees like it working for us here in Auburn.
Good. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for reminding us of that. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move ahead with Auburn University Communications.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
First, I just want to thank Mayor Anders for letting us eat breakfast with him on Valentine's Day. It was a great day to start.
Thank you.
So 2 weeks ago, Auburn SGA held elections. So there was a 30.44% voter turnout, and the Auburn students elected Riley Parman as Miss Auburn, Owen Beaverstock as the SGA president, Buckley Nettles as the SGA vice president, and then Haley Bergenthal as the SGA treasurer. Since then, they've had interviews for other executive positions, and Vera Smith T has been chosen for executive vice president of outreach. Mims Jones has been chosen for executive vice president of initiatives, and then Madeline Facto has been chosen for the chief of staff role. They're working to fill the remaining cabinet roles, and the interview process will be over and decisions will be made by the end of March. And then applications are now open for the directors of AUBI and then also for the Miss Auburn committee. And then student recruiters' first round interviews are this week, and interviews for Plainsman and War Eagle girls are also happening this week. The top 25 men and women will be announced at callouts on Thursday for a second round interview, and then the final roster will be announced at callouts on Friday. So as you can tell, right now is a really busy time at Auburn with interviews and everything, and a great opportunity for students to get involved. And then this Thursday, SGA's lobby board will travel to Montgomery to participate in Higher Ed Day, where we will meet with state representatives and students from other universities. We're really excited to have the opportunity to advocate for Auburn University and just higher education in Alabama. That's all for today. Thank you so much, and War Eagle.
Thank you. War Eagle. At this time, we'll open this up for, open our ward, meeting up for citizens' communications on agenda items. This is only on items on our agenda, and these are items that do not have a public hearing attached. My guess is a lot of you that are here tonight would like to speak to the council about an action that does have a public hearing attached, and if that is the case, please wait until then to make your comments known. But if you'd like to speak to the city council about anything else that is on our agenda, please come forward at this time. You have 5 minutes to speak to the council, and we'll ask that you share your name and address for the record. Hello.
I'm Roberta Jackal. I live at 531 Hamilton Hills Court here in Auburn, 36830. First of all, I apologize for my attire. I don't even normally wear shorts in public in the summer, but I wanted everyone to see my knee. 3 weeks ago today, I had complete knee surgery, and I wasn't even planning to come tonight. This is very last minute. I apologize for using my phone, but I didn't even have time to print this out. I was actually swimming, doing my rehab at the Sportsplex in Opelika, and getting so upset that I had to drive 15 minutes and pay money to the city of Opelika to rehab.
Ms. Jackal?
Yes.
I believe your comments are for the end of the meeting. This is a time for items that are on our agenda.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. If you can wait to the end of the meeting, you can talk to us about anything you'd want to.
Okay.
All right? Sorry if I did not explain that well. Anybody would like to talk to us about any item that's on our agenda that does not have a public hearing attached? Okay. We'll move forward to city manager's communications.
Mayor, I have the announcement of one vacancy on the library board for an unexpired term and will be filled upon appointment and ends April 14th, 2026. The appointment will be made at the March 18th meeting. Don't confuse this. There'll be a second library board appointment where an incumbent is eligible for reappointment that comes about a month later. This is an open seat as somebody moved out of the city limits. So you'll have 2 in a row in multiple months. And then we have one vacancy on the Board of Education for a term that begins June 1st and ends May 31st, 2031. The appointment will be made at the April 15th meeting, and reminder, there'll be interviews conducted upon the finalist selections.
Okay.
You ready for the consent agenda?
Please.
Our first item of business is the consent agenda. Does any council member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda and deal with that item individually? As a reminder, item 8F has been removed.
Anyone? If not, is there a move to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion second. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the consent agenda is approved. Ordinances.
Under ordinances this evening, item 9A is a request to rezone approximately 13.74 acres of property located at the southeast corner of the North Donahue Drive and West Farmville Road intersection from rural to comprehensive development district. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this request at its January 9th meeting. Unanimous consent is necessary and a public hearing is required.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward with a vote on this evening? Okay. Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Crouch, before we get started with the public hearing, could we ask the planning director or any other staff members to give us an overview of what we will be considering here tonight?
Gladly have our planning director give an overview. Justice, would you like any particular drawing up on the screen for the overview of the zoning map or the future land use map? Greg's prepared.
I guess maybe just the layout of the proposal, I guess.
Do you want to go this because it's CDD? You want to put the zoning
Oh,
up
no,
first?
yeah. Let's just go ahead and put the future land use map up. That's fine.
He's working on it. There it is.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So this is a rezoning request. So it's the future land use map, and the future land use map does not speak to what someone can immediately do on their property. The future land use map speaks to what the city envisions for the parcel down the road, what makes the most sense. This is mixed use, medium intensity. This is at the intersection of a major thoroughfare, Farmville and North Donahue. For this, like I said, and just kind of the planning commission meeting, intensity has a duality that goes with density and also goes with the size and scale of the use. Medium mixed use intensity looks like shopping centers in this case, because the project we are considering is exclusively commercial. 13.7, like I said, just kind of fits the commercial nodes that we're looking for in proximity to residential areas on major thoroughfares. I guess I can give an overview of staff's reasoning for the recommendation, but I think just kind of the project as a whole, CDD is one of the long-standing zoning districts that we've had for commercial development, and attaching it with the PDD is one of the things that gives us a lot of control just as far as limiting the uses, because there are a lot of by right options in CDD that normally does make staff a little uncomfortable. But like I said, kind of coupling this recommendation with the PDD overlay along with the CDD, I think fits the future land use of achieving the mixed use medium intensity at this site.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the dais have any questions for the staff or comments they'd like to make before we open the public hearing? And Ms. Witten, I'm looking at you. This is in your ward, and you've spent a lot of time working on this. Is there anything you'd like to, any questions or comments that you'd like to add?
Certainly. When was just for a timeline of history, I know we have actionable timeline in our packet, but when was the future land use for this area studied and then adopted for this designation?
All right. So the Miracle Road, North Donahue Drive land use change was approved in February 2018, was a result of zoning changes in the area, council's approval of the Woodward Oaks PDD in September of 17, and the Miracle Road PDD in January 2018. Staff recommended the rural land use in the entire area up to Farmville Road change and low density residential, and the rural crossroad land use designation at the intersection of North Donahue and Farmville and Road be changed to medium intensity mixed use to provide a wider array of possibilities of commercial uses to serve the surrounding low density residential area.
So,
2018.
okay.
February of 2018, that was done. It was rural crossroads prior to that, and due in a brief summary to the residential growth approved to the south of this, and there long had been, the preserve came along in about the 2005-6 range, Scott. And so there were other developments approved in the area, smaller developments and continuing expansions. That's why the land use was changed in 2018. And rural crossroads did allow commercial at the time, but not to the same level.
And so the medium intensity mixed use designation, are there any differences between that designation and CDD?
I think there's some uses allowed within CDD that would exceed that, yes. But like I said, I think that's where the PDD comes in. But I think as far as like on the most part, I think CDD is a pretty good match for you can achieve the mixed use medium intensity within CDD.
As far as like the same type of, or the same level of density, I don't know if that's the right term, density of of development, is that also align with what the proposed?
Do you mean from a square footage standpoint, floor area ratio, impervious surface ratio,
Yes.
the things that we drive? It'd be
Yes.
the same.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I think one of the challenges is this is still a holdover from not just much past 1984 and our performance zoning, where the theory was in a zone, a wide array of uses could coexist as a function of buffering. I'm not saying that that is the philosophy of anyone. That is the philosophy that was adopted by the City Council and Planning Commission in 1984 that we still live with today. And so CDD offers everything from low density residential to light industrial and everything in between. However, with a planned development district overlay, every use is conditional. There are no uses permitted by right. So that's why staff is recommending CDD, the base zone with a PDD overlay. CDD without a PDD overlay may not have been recommended by the planning staff. The PDD is what does it because every use is conditional.
Okay. I know I'll have several comments probably after the public hearing, but do we also, can you tell me from a historical timeline, when the neighborhood Donahue Ridge that abuts this was developed?
I don't know that we have that right now. We might need to come back and answer
Okay,
that
okay.
in a minute, because there's aspects of, a developer will subdivide things, but they have to put infrastructure in and do other things, and for us to actually pull developed is, do you mean the infrastructure, do you mean the first house or the certificate of occupancy? We don't
Or
have,
approved.
yeah, we don't have that data on the fly. We can look at when the first subdivision was approved, but if you want to, we'll come back and answer that for you in a bit.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll have more later. I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else have some questions or that they'd like to get out for us?
Yeah, Miss Megan, could you explain what conditional use means?
I'll have our planning director, he loves to explain what conditional use means. Here he goes.
Yeah, so conditional uses are things that we are supportive of, provided with certain conditions. So it's pretty intuitive, and those conditions may be just different infrastructure, different considerations, just kind of about proximity, added protections, whether that be buffers, fences, etc., architectural standards, things of that nature. But oftentimes, I think sometimes the public may get lost if they think they can just apply any condition to something, but it has to be germane to the project. It has to be germane to enhancing the quality and enhancing the protections for the surrounding uses or the surrounding property owners for that use. So like I said, it's a use that we are supportive of, provided certain conditions are met specific to the project. Like I said, that may be utilities, architectural considerations, etc.
Now, what happens if you do not agree with it?
So if you do not agree with the conditions set, so you can put forth conditions, and if, like I said, I mean, they have to be voted on by the body. And so that's how you have certain conditions that accompany some of the resolutions tonight. And so I think there were 4 conditions for 2 of the resolutions tonight that exempted certain uses that they didn't want at all. And there's other things that they could put on them for things to be looked at. But on this one in particular, there's no infrastructure needed, but sometimes you will see something where we'll have a development agreement that may be tied to a conditional use. So, I mean, the conditions they can be a variety of things. Like I said, they are germane to the project, enhancing the quality of the project and making sure that the project does not become a nuisance to the surrounding users.
Yeah, health, safety, welfare style things to mitigate challenges that may be caused by the development.
Thank you.
Good, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just have a point of clarification though,
yes.
but on a rezoning request, you cannot put conditions on a zoning.
I'll clarify real
application.
quick. On the base zone of a CDD zone, you may not. However, on planned development district, that's different. That's an overlay. And if it's germane to the master development plan and some other things, there are nuances that do allow that. But on the base zone, it's voted up or down.
And this item is strictly about the base zone.
It is.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Griswold.
Could, that base zoning, can it be approved contingent on the PDD being later approved?
I don't believe so. Our legal counsel knows. It's got to be voted up or down. Correct. That's why the planning staff made a recommendation. We recommend approval as long as the council's willing to consider planned development district overlay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Before we move into the public hearing, I just want to make a few comments, and we welcome you to be here, and you'll have 5 minutes, and we'll ask that you come forward and share your name and address for the record. Tomorrow night, I look forward to going to the basketball game and being in the jungle and watching our number one Tigers play. And we'll be yelling and screaming at that game and cheering and clapping. Tonight's not the time for that. I know this is emotional for many of you in the room. I know that many of you are passionate about the decision that the council has before them this evening, but this is not a time to be rowdy and to clap and to yell. This is also not a time for personal attacks on anyone, especially the developer. This is not a time to discuss the developer's other properties in our community, nor is this a time to discuss the billboards that have brought so much controversy to our community. What the council has before them tonight is a decision upon rezoning this property from rural to CDD, the end. And so I ask that you conduct yourself with class and dignity as you come forward. We want to hear all of your comments, all of your concerns, everything that you have to say, and you have 5 minutes to speak to us, but please keep it in the guardrails, okay? All right, at this time, I'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the city council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
I have a question. My name's Tom Haley. I'm the developer. I was going to present the project. It's going to take more than 5 minutes. I've heard that's.
You have to extend it to everybody if you allow anyone to exceed 5
If we
minutes.
allow you more than 5, we've got to allow everybody else here more than 5.
What you can do is, at the appropriate time, whenever the developer wants to speak, they can choose the beginning or the end. And if you have questions beyond that, you can ask them when the public hearing is closed and bring Mr. Haley back up.
I would recommend you wait till the end, Mr. Haley. Who will be first? Sure. There's.
Do we talk about just the CDD here? Because I'm kind of talking about the plan.
Mayor, at this time, I think we decided it's very challenging for the public that wants to speak to keep it to each agenda item. Why everybody is welcome to 5 minutes per agenda item. I think you can talk about the project as a whole.
Yeah.
If that's easier for you instead of trying to segment.
Thank you for asking and clearing that up.
My name is Gene Elkins. I'm at 2095 Felicity Lane. My house is located right behind the planned loading dock. I've worked as an engineer in the telecom industry for about the last 26 years, designing those large off-white boxes you see on the side of the road in corner of neighborhoods and intersections. People tend to hate these near their homes, claiming they're loud and ugly. Much of my job is to make them as quiet and unobtrusive as possible. Interesting property of sound waves is that they will pass through any barrier that is thinner than a quarter of its wavelength. So a low frequency wave has a very long wavelength, measured in 10 to 15 feet. Even low treble range noise is measured in feet, not inches. Our house walls are about 5 to 6 inches thick and do little to block these low frequency sounds. This is why we hear a neighborhood 16-year-old kid's subwoofer as he drives by our house, or why it's so easy to hear the low frequency rumble of the diesel engine of the UPS truck as it drives through the neighborhood. Now we want to place a loading dock and refrigeration racks just 30 feet off the back of my property line. In the sound industry, 30 decibels is a sound power level needed to people hear perceive a change in sound level. I can spend hundreds of dollars in acoustical insulation on a telecom cabinet to drop the noise levels just a couple of decibels. But the other way we control noise is space. So every time you double your distance away from the noise generating object, you drop the sound pressure level by 6 decibels. Space by way of the buffer yard will be the most important tool for us to ensure the privacy and tranquility of the abutting homeowners. I decided in my due diligence to look at other closely developed residential and commercial properties to kind of get an understanding of what we've done in the past. I used the Lee County GIS page, which offers a handy tool with the satellite overlay. You can measure distances. What I found is that this proposal is unprecedented in scale and proximity, being built directly abutting 13 homes, single-family homes. There are some very rare examples of small to minimal buffer in the city, but these residential developments were always done well after the commercial property was established. Let's talk about some examples. Ogletree Village is what I think we can all agree is a prime local example of the marriage of commercial and residential. Most of the commercial property backs up in common spaces like the tennis court. The smallest buffer space I could find is 78 feet in a limited hours office building behind the animal hospital. The lone exception of this is 1104 Blackman Circle behind the recently constructed Mexican restaurant, which has just 15 feet of buffer space. Not surprisingly, 1104 Blackman Circle was the last lot to be built in that neighborhood. I wonder why. What about the CDD zone property in the neighboring corner of Farmville and Donahue? I've never heard anybody complaining about this property. The new neighbor developed the property maximizing buffer space, which minimized the intrusion on the neighbors, 150 feet of buffer to the west and 80 feet to the south. Sam's Club has over 120 feet of buffer with the fence abutting 7 houses. The neighborhood market on Donahue, the houses are developed after the commercial property, so they never had to deal with the development phase, but there's still 50 feet of buffer. I'm old enough that I still call it Bruno's, but I remember when it was built. It has over 110 feet of buffer to 2 houses. I appreciate that the plan calls for increased buffer over the minimum requirement of CDD, but 30 feet isn't enough to protect the current homeowners, not for a development of this size in close proximity to so many single-family homes. This dais you sit at is roughly 30 feet wide, and we can have a polite conversation in this amount of space. It certainly isn't enough space to protect you from the noise of an 18-wheeler making deliveries. The examples I've shown have been the most intrusive developments in the city and have the buffer and setback 2 to 4 times as great as this proposal. Section 102.11 of the city zoning ordinance states, the purpose of this ordinance is the promotion of health, safety, general welfare of the present and future inhabitants of Auburn by protecting landowners from adverse impacts of adjoining developments. It is obvious that this development will have high impact on adjoining properties and must be rejected as is. Do we need 400 parking spaces in such a small neighborhood shopping area? The Publix on Gay Street is sitting on a pad of asphalt 330 feet from front to back. Glendine Shopping Center, 71,000 square feet, is 370 feet from road to property line. With 470 feet to work with, either of those developments could be placed behind my house and I would have more than 100 feet of buffer. Vote no tonight and let's go back to the drawing board and come up with a plan that works for both the existing families and the developer. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Who'll be next?
Hey, everybody. My name is Andy Wilson. I live at 2242 North Donahue, which is the subdivision right there at the intersection of Farmville and North Donahue. So we live in the Highlands at North Donahue. If you've ever been by that intersection, you know the Highlands subdivision is well maintained. Very nice, quiet, attractive neighborhood. Our basic landscape maintenance is supplied through our HOA. So our yards are always consistently nice. It's a very nice neighborhood. I've talked with my neighbors directly and through social media about the development on this corner. I've personally stated all along that based on the 2030 and 2040 plans, that this is slated for some form of commercial and retail. So I've done my research. So development on this corner is inevitable. We get that. I accept that, and while some of my neighbors don't necessarily accept that, we're willing to work with the developer and the city in this development. So given that, we share the final concern, which is aesthetics, and I share the concern about buffering as well. So what we're really concerned about is what this development is going to look like. We're concerned that we're going to be stuck with a bunch of plain brick, flat roof buildings with zero curb appeal. We're concerned about the landscaping and whether it will be kept as beautiful compared to our neighborhood. This corner has a neighborhood feel, and we don't want that to get crushed by ugly commercial development. So just as an example, I don't know if you've ever been to the Conquistador restaurant. It's a great place, fantastic food. But when I drive by that building, there's no way I would ever stop there. I would never eat there. Someone gave me a recommendation, I went there. It's an ugly building, great food. That's not what we want on our corner. So why am I up here? I came here of my own accord. I'm not representing any HOAs. I've not been appointed to represent any groups. But I am willing to work as a point of contact for the developer, architects, and builders and working through the HOAs in the area. If I can get the connections set up, I'm willing to do that. Of course, why would I do this? I would very much like for our neighborhood, the Highlands, to have a seat at the table in discussing the appearance of the development, including the architecture and the landscaping. I understand that this is a pretty big ask. And I also understand that an invitation to do so could be meaningless and our feedback ignored. I'm willing to spend the time, even if that's taking that risk. So I would hope that the developer would be willing to accept feedback, knowing that it could be helpful in pushing forward complete occupancy of his buildings. So we're very much willing, I am personally willing, to work with the developer in order to create a nice aesthetic, keep the neighborhood feel. So again, my name's Andy Wilson. Contact me and I'll help everybody out with this.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Green, live at 1680 North Camden Court. I live in the cul-de-sac that's facing the development of the strip mall. My first feeling is if we were having a discussion of precedents, things that have been done before, as far as Auburn is concerned, we probably wouldn't even be dealing with this issue. Because the precedent before this is that there is no strip mall when there are 4 housing units all surrounding the potentially development site. Nor is there any development that would develop a strip mall on a single road. The precedent has been here for years and years. And I have it, written down here. It's, if we look at the strip malls that we have in the city, they're all on major roads. They are not surrounded by housing. So we understand that. This development is on a single road, it's on a rural road, and it's surrounded by development on all 4 sides. So if we went by precedent, you would immediately say, well, of course you can't develop a strip mall on a single road, rural road, and there's no strip malls in this city on a single road in a rural area that's surrounded totally by homeowners. Okay, so we could easily make a decision, you just don't do that here. It's not equipped, it's not made for a strip mall. It'd be a great park, wonderful, right there in the development of all those families. Second is I'd like to mention something as I call basically an irony. The 1,000 homes in that area are very nice homes. They run between $300,000 and $400,000 each. The amount of money in just the 6 houses we have in our cul-de-sac would be over $2 million. And you start taking all of that. The 1,000 people in that area put together their housing, it's phenomenal the amount of money that we have had to struggle with, and all of us as we have paid our dues year after year, month after month, to be able to have a home like this, and now to have it potentially threatened. There's an irony. Isn't it interesting that we are the homeowners? We have phenomenal risk with the amount of money that we have poured into that community and our homes, and we can't vote. Nobody else has any money. The developer has some, but nobody else. We do, and we can't vote. All we need to do is be able to come and say, please, please, do not put a strip mall on a single rural road surrounded by all of our homes. Those homes, I don't know for a lot of guys, but for me, it's my retirement. I'm 84 years old. Kind of feel like I'm 84 years young, but I'm still there. And that's our retirement. And now we're gonna build a strip mall, which we don't know what's gonna be happening. We don't know what the buildings are like. We don't even know what stores are going to be there. There's so much unknown. There's so much things that have to be done. It would make a beautiful park. In a few moments, there will be a roll call vote. And you will be asked to either vote for or vote against not having a strip mall there. If you vote to not have a strip mall there, the discussion ends right there. I'm sure there'll be some complaints by the developer, but understandable. But it's over. If you vote to have a strip mall there, as far as you're concerned, if it's voted yes, then in one way, it is over for you. And all you have to do is look at the agenda and say, what's next? But it's not over for us. It only begins. I have what you would call a normal, regular housing unit right there. Beautiful home.
Mr.
right
Green,
there.
your time's up. Thank you.
That's what it would look like.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Your time's up.
Boy, how time went.
Who will be next?
Good evening. My name is Ken Arthur. I live at 1783 Keystone Drive. Thursday, February 13th, I sent an email to everyone on the City Council. You may or may not have seen it. You may or may not have cared, but thank you to Ms. Witten for responding and Mayor Anders for acknowledging receipt of that message. I'm going to summarize just a few items from that message because I really put a conscientious effort into describing the concerns that I have personally and those of my friends, and in conjunction with the statement made even today, which was health, safety, and welfare of the residents. That email provided case studies, provided details about a lot of the conflicts with health, safety, and welfare that this particular development has. But I do want to go to one point, and I apologize for looking down a lot, but the other basic concern is with this whole neighborhood node commercialization concept, because I don't think that there's any facets of this development that meet the spirit of that node. The nodes prioritize pedestrian friendly. This is not pedestrian friendly if we're going to have a 5-lane road feeding into a 4-lane road at Donahue and Farmville, right? We got 2 right lanes going off to the right. We heard that in a meeting with Ms. Witten. We know that the transportation study, to my knowledge, has not been completed, but that's the basic plan. So it's not a pedestrian friendly neighborhood node. There's other businesses that could negatively impact the neighborhood. We already got a liquor store there. We've got potential for bars. We've got dine-in restaurants, all of those things that can change the character of the neighborhood. It's not to say that that's our intention, but that could be the way that the path goes. Those types of businesses are not, again, consistent with the neighborhood node, which is to build a neighborhood-friendly, something that the neighbors would use, not to draw in from outside of the area as an attraction. You have to balance your uses. Otherwise, this is a high-traffic retail complex. That's not a neighborhood node. In my mind, in my opinion, this fails on meeting all of the attributes for a neighborhood node. I would make one request. And my last request in my email, notwithstanding the admonishments by Mayor Anders, I would recommend that if the council does approve this, that contingencies be placed, that all properties owned by this development corporation or individual be annexed into the city of Auburn as a contingency for that approval. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Who will be next?
How is everybody?
Doing fine.
My name's Bruce Prescott. I live at 1766 Keystone Drive. I want to speak to, I don't know, see, the young man that was talking about the sound. I actually lived in the neighborhood. My wife and I moved here 2.5 years ago. We moved from Lilburn, Georgia, just a northern suburb of Atlanta. And we lived in a neighborhood that was almost identical to this situation. We moved in, the shopping center was already there. We moved into a neighborhood that had about 200 homes. And right on the southern edge, there was a shopping center. The shopping center contained a grocery store, several restaurants within a strip mall. It contained dry cleaners, and several other small businesses around it, as well as a Sonic drive-in at the end of the parking lot and a bank building at the end of the parking lot. So where we lived in the neighborhood was right across the street from the houses that bordered the neighborhood. Now, I'm not affected by this in this manner, but I know the people that are around there will be. What we saw and what we heard and what we smelled was horrible. The dumpsters that are behind these businesses have to be emptied. And you have trucks coming in at all hours to empty these dumpsters. The truck is loud enough as it is. The buffer that we had was anywhere from 50 to 100 feet, and it was heavily wooded. You couldn't even walk through it, it was so wooded. So the dump trucks would come through, they'd empty it. As soon as they let the dumpster down, it sounded like a 5-car wreck was happening right in your front yard. On top of that, the smell from the dumpsters was horrible. The drainage that came from the restaurants was horrible. When we first moved in, the lady directly across the street from us that backed up to the neighborhood, first thing she told us when she introduced herself, shut your garage door to keep the rats out from the dumpsters across the street over here. You walk out in your front yard and you look over the trees and you expect to see stars. All you saw was lights from the parking lot. We walked down the street to take our dog for a walk, and you could hear the orders coming from the Sonic drive-in in the front yards of these houses. I can't imagine what it was like in the backyard. I remember there was like I said, this was heavily wooded. We're talking 50 to 100 foot buffer. We're only talking about a 30-foot buffer here. That is not enough. Another thing to worry about with these dumpsters is attracting wildlife. Right now, where we are, we're on the edge of thousands of acres of wooded area. These dumpsters and all the trash that's going to be behind here is going to attract coyotes, foxes, bobcats, you name it, it's going to be in these people's backyard. I don't have time to get into the traffic issues. That got worse and worse over the years as more commercial property was starting to be built there. That's another whole story. I'm just asking you to consider, please vote no on this proposal.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Yes, sir.
My name is Rob Renfro. I live at 1334 Falls Crest Drive, and I am the owner of Renfro's Market. And I want to thank the City Council for allowing me to speak tonight and the community for taking the time to hear my thoughts. I've been working on the possibility of bringing a Renfro's Market to this development for some time. The opportunity to build a new store in Auburn, my home, is something that I take very seriously. Renfro's Market was founded by my father in 1997, and since then we've grown to 8 locations. We currently operate 3 stores in Montgomery, as well as locations in Alexander City, Dadeville, Smith Station, Phoenix City, and Lafayette. Our stores range in size from 10,000 to 54,000 square feet, with our largest location being in the East Chase Shopping Center in Montgomery. I was born and raised in Montgomery, and as I mentioned earlier, I've now called Auburn my home for almost 10 years. I live just down the road from this development in the Auburn University Club neighborhood, and bringing Renfro's Market to Auburn is not just a business decision for me. It's personal. I do not take lightly the responsibility of putting my name on something, making a financial commitment of this size, or ensuring the livelihoods and financial well-being of our future and current employees, which right now total over 350. So my goal is to create something that my family and the surrounding community that can be proud of. As an independent grocer, we always strive to give back to the communities that we service, and we treat our customers with a thankful attitude and exceptional customer service. So I hope that Renfro's Market will be given the chance to become part of the Auburn community. And we can bring a grocery store that the people in the surrounding neighborhoods and my family personally can be proud to shop at. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Who'll be next?
Hello, I'm Noemi Oding, 2072 Mohican Drive. This is Arlo James Oding. And we are not directly impacted by the development as proposed. We live in the preserve neighborhood, so we are quite separated from the actual location. So my concern has to do with traffic. I'm sure you all recall several years ago, there was construction that occurred both on the bridge across Farmville Road, at the intersection of College and 280, and at College and Farmville. And our neighborhood, and especially our half of the neighborhood, was very isolated from the city of Auburn during that construction project. Of course, that was a city, county, and state issue, and jurisdictional problems there. But my concern with this construction is that we are planning to expand both Donahue and Farmville Road, and to have construction going on at the intersection at the same time that construction is underway will be a big burden for those of us who do live north of the intersection as we are trying to get to Auburn. During the previous construction that I mentioned, it took us over 15 minutes to get into Auburn, and there were serious concerns about emergency vehicles being able to reach our neighborhood in a timely manner. So that's something that I wanted to bring to the council's attention, as well as this is the youngest of my 3 children, and a concern that I do have is that the property does abut the Woodland Pines Elementary School, and the type of businesses that can be put into this neighborhood development is something that I am particularly concerned about having addressed by the city council. What do you want to say? You say hi. Hi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we're certainly proud to have a fire station. Fire Station 6 is right down the street from your home, and hopefully that has helped bring more security to your neighborhood. All right. Who would be next? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Nathan Nelson. I live at 1751 Overhill Court, just around the corner from the proposed rezoning district. Every day as I drive to work or to drop off my wife at school, I have to drive through the intersection in question. So this is definitely a very personal issue for me. And I'd like to say that rezoning this area would create more problems than benefits for the community. Traffic on Donahue is already congested, and adding more development would only make it worse. I know that there's already a planned widening of the road, but I don't think that it's wise to increase traffic in the area as it's already awful in the mornings and afternoons. Especially near the Woodland Pines Elementary School zone on Old Farmville Road. That's a concern to me. I plan to raise a family here, and I do not want my children at risk due to added traffic, 18-wheelers, etc. And there's no way to get there from Auburn unless if you want to avoid that school district, then you've got to go through the school district with Yarborough Elementary School. Additionally, there's no real need for more commercial space in this area. We already have a Dollar General just down the road. Walmart is very convenient and close, as is Publix. And then there's a strip mall on Shug Jordan right next to Walmart. For any of our commercial needs, we already have ready access. The proposed rezoning does not promise high-quality job opportunities, making an unnecessary disruption to homeowners without meaningful economic benefits. This proposed change will only lower property values in the surrounding neighborhoods. Other residents near me share my sentiments that part of the appeal of the area is the rural feel. This rezoning would completely disrupt the appeal of the area. None of the residents want this property to be frequented by the commercial traffic or for the intersection to become more congested than it already is. I share the concerns about buffering and aesthetics that have been brought up by other residents. Keeping the zoning as is will help preserve traffic flow, safety for the surrounding schools, and the integrity of the neighborhood. I ask you to please vote no to reject rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would be next? Yes, sir. Good evening.
My name is Seth Humphrey. My family and I have called 1673 Stone Point Drive our home for almost 20 years now. That is the last street on the left as you approach from this intersection, and my house is the second house on the left. This development is essentially my front yard. What I would see every day as I stepped out. Brought my daughter here tonight. Wanted her to see civil government in action, and I appreciate the process. I love America, and I love where this wonderful country gives the little guy protection from the big business, from the rich and the powerful, where every voice can be heard. My voice can be heard, and I appreciate that, whether it is my voice or my elected representatives. So, and that's really what I want to speak about just briefly. From the highest levels of federal government to our city council, our local community representatives, it's wonderful and a beautiful thing when everyone plays their part. I could stand here and talk all night about I don't want the light pollution, the smells, the noise, the traffic, the crime that will, if it goes through, it will be delivered to my front door. All of those things. But I won't dwell on that. Tonight, I just implore you to do your part as that critical piece of civil governance, to represent the collective voices that you hear tonight. And how many people are here in favor of this construction? How many people are here opposed to it? These are your constituents. I just ask you to remember to represent them, represent me, vote as they would vote, as we would vote, and that vote is no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Anyone else?
I did not plan to speak.
It's okay.
My name's Leanne Matzo, she's my neighbor. I live at 1668 North Camden Court. I'm a retired school teacher. My home, I plan on living there until I die. It's important to me. It's paid for. I can't move. It's paid for. I'm old. I don't want to move. I don't want this in my backyard, and I don't see why it has to be in my backyard. I mean, I will see it. As soon as I walk in my front yard, I will see this. I will smell it. I'll hear it. I'm the second house, so I will see it. I shouldn't have to put up with that in my yard. This is Auburn, the loveliest village on the plains. This should not become the ugliest village on the plains. If he wants to build something, why doesn't he build some nice little townhouses there, like are on the corner across from the gas station? Those are nice. We could have something beautiful to look at that families live in. Why would we ever want something ugly? And all the crime, the smells, the animals. I don't like rats. I don't want those in my house. I don't want those in my neighborhood. I'm begging you, please, don't do this to me. I devoted 20-some odd years to teaching children. I loved every one of my children. I'm a retired school teacher. Please don't do this to me. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Who'll be next?
Good evening. My name is Madeline Bingham. My husband, Nathan Nelson, got a chance to speak. I live at the address 1751 Overhill Court in the Highlands neighborhood, right at that intersection. I'm a student at Auburn. I'm a therapist in the community. I plan to stay in Auburn for a long time. Rezoning this area, just like my husband said, would create a lot more problems than benefits to our community. We've lived at that house for 2 years. It is the first home we've ever owned. One of the biggest reasons why we chose that area was the aesthetics. It was quiet, and so I also share the concerns about the buffering problems. All of the construction that's happening on Donahue and Chuck Jordan already impacts my way to Auburn University, and then having it closer to our home, opening those lanes, I don't even want to know how long that's going to take, how much noise that's going to add to the community. I want all of our home prices, and I know we've spoken to our neighbors, to increase. And there's a real worry that these home prices, especially the ones very close to these businesses, are going to decrease because of the rezoning. Again, like my husband said, they do not promise high-quality job opportunities. I second, why can't these be townhouses? We love the townhouses that are near us. We love our vet clinic. That's where we take our animals. It's a very aesthetic, nice little Auburn Oaks vet clinic right there. Why can't we have something like that instead of the commercial lots that are going to come in? And then I also would like to raise my children here. I do not have children yet. I would like to call Auburn home. We come from out of state, but it's a place that we've all fallen in love, like me and my husband have fallen in love with. There are 2 elementary schools, school zones that will be right next to this commercial lot. I don't want any children that I might have going to those schools if there's going to be a lot of traffic around there because of the commercial lots that will be there. I also share the concerns about the smells. Again, like I said, the increased traffic, even with the line widening of the lanes. And I just ask you to vote no on this and please reject the rezoning.
Thank you. Who'll be next?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is L.T. Morris, and we live at 1655 Poplar Ridge Drive. My wife and I, we've lived there since 2000, and before we built that house, Mr. Connors, we discussed the future for that property there, and he said, you know, as far as he could tell, it was just gonna be neighborhood, for neighborhood, so far, we've been real happy living there. And, he had talked with us about, over the years, how it would probably progress and what building would be like. And I'm glad to see it, and I want to see it stay like that. And I pray that, some of y'all, whether y'all live there or not, value what we have and want the same thing. And I'd appreciate if y'all really would consider what's at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Anyone else from our audience like to speak? Okay. Developer's representative, would y'all like to talk at this time?
Do we
Hold
want
on.
to close the public hearing and then ask questions, or do we keep the public
If
hearing
you're
open?
gonna keep it to 5 minutes, you need to leave the public hearing open until
Okay.
you have questions. I'd suggest you give Mr. Haley a full 5 minutes, and if any of his other representatives want to speak, they have 5 minutes as well.
Thank you.
There's enough history here that this is gonna take longer than 5 minutes, and if that's,
That's up to the city council
Why don't
per
we
their
just get
rules.
through 5 minutes and we'll just see where you are and we'll
Okay.
go from there. How about that?
all right, can you put the map up?
Hold on just a second. Justice doesn't control that, Tom. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I thought your
So,
map.
no, I'm not controlling it either. Our
have the
IT
zoning
director is Greg, the zoning map.
This is the right one.
No cross hatching, just all colors. Yeah. There we go.
It'll take me a second to get the timer up, but since we're doing it a little bit differently.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Why does he keep talking to David?
You ready, Greg? Go ahead, Mayor.
Hey, my name's Tom Haley. I'm the developer of the project, and I appreciate your time and the staff's time. There's been a series of 4 meetings with planning. Feel free to ask me any questions. Some of you guys are new. Some of this has been around. I have about 30 years of history with this project. Been doing this 45 years. Built 60 roads in Auburn, 150 restaurants. We landlord 35. 16 years of going to planning commission meetings without missing one, followed by city council meetings without missing one. I still learn. I recruit a lot of business here. What I've learned in planning has been invaluable through performance zoning, and it helps do that. Most of our team is here tonight. Brett Baskin with Foresight is as good as they get. He's worked in other states. I've developed grocery stores in 5 states, still own most of those. Today I met with an architect that lives in Highlands that wants to be part of this, represent the neighborhood, and he's got an architect friend that's in the preserve. We're going to bring them both in to talk about aesthetic points of view on this shopping center. Okay. Let's talk about the region. 55 years ago, the first portion of our existing perimeter was built, Sugar Jordan Parkway, south to north. It took about 20 years after that section was built to be complete. When Doug Watson came here, it was a priority to complete the perimeter, complete that commerce, traffic, and all of that. Okay, so now we're at this point now. Cox Road, South College will be the point of what I will call the outer loop, perimeter, whatever's coming. The heavy lifting's done there. Cox Road past interchange 50 at I-85, that's a big, the next point will be North Donahue and Farmville. If you look at your zoning map, you'll see we're the only piece of rural property there that's in the city. You're getting ready to rezone across the street when the land use change, the 55 acres there. Incidentally, if you imagine Sugar Jordan go out a radius of 2 miles, that's what you're going to have. And the map really falls into place. It would relieve traffic on South College. It would relieve traffic all around Auburn. It's a great idea. This planning started 15 years ago. Some of it's complete. Let's talk about the vicinity. Lee County Road 82 and Lee County Road 72 were the designation of these 2 roads when we bought this property in the county. That's why they had that designation. Some point right after that, David Watkins became city manager. Sheila Ekman was the representative for that area that believed in no annexation. They did not want this property in the city. When that changed, we brought in the first section, built Donahue Ridge and this property. The property across the street is zoned CDD. It's likely that it would be zoned that, is what we thought, okay? 19 years ago, that convenience store was built in the county. It is commercial, true commercial, intense. It's been renovated twice. Pretty good flag of what's going on that property. A lot of the people that live in that area have right to ask questions. We believe in that. Most people's investment, the largest thing, is in their home. They have the right to get all those questions answered. We've been good at that for 40 years. Several people have been to my office, about 2 a week. They're not here tonight. They were here earlier. We feel like a lot of things have been resolved, okay? The 13.7 acre section remains in the county. I want to talk about this site. There are 4 things we have identified, 3 before this meeting, for today, one this afternoon, that have to do with traffic, buffer, quality, and now size. We've got some answers for that. This site is very similar to the University Crossing Shopping Center across from the high school stadium. I think those 2 things complement each other. If you get a chance to look at that, it's got the same configuration, same size of land. My office actually sits on one corner, which would be the south corner here.
Mr. Haley, please, is the council willing
Mayor,
to allow more
if
time?
I may, on the vice of legal counsel, you have to stop at the 5 minutes, or you have to invite everybody back up to speak the same amount of time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd propose we close the public hearing, and then we can call up the developer to further address it or answer questions.
The developer may answer your questions, not make a presentation akin to a public hearing
Okay.
at that time.
Is that what the council would like to do? Okay. All right. We'll do that, Mr. Haley. All right. At this time, we'll close the public hearing.
Mayor, is there anybody else, the other applicants' representatives?
Can I hand my packet out?
You can give it to me and we'll pass it on down. There are 2 other representatives here that are welcome to speak in the public hearing.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the developers team that would like to speak?
Are there 9 or 10?
No? Okay.
Got all 9.
All right. I'm not seeing anyone come forward, so, all right, I'll reclose the public hearing. All right, any questions or comments from the council?
Well, I'd like to hear what the 4 things are he was about to.
Sure, okay,
The audience
so,
would benefit from that as well.
absolutely. All right, with the council, for us to invite the developer back up? Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you. A project like this, I tell you, it takes a little more time, but anyway, thank you. Quickly, we talked a little bit about the University Crossing Shopping Center, how this, that's 30 years ago. It's still not fully developed. This does not happen overnight. We have an out parcel next to McAllister's. During this process, 5 residents stood up and complained that Outback would be selling alcohol, and we lost Outback to Opelika. I still regret that. Wasn't anything we could do. We've started renovating that shopping center. Y'all seen 7 Brew Coffee, but it's a lot like this. Now, you need to know from Planning Commission, no drive-throughs were approved. We're not building any drive-throughs, so that intensity goes away for the time being, at least. Traffic seems to be a major concern, especially for me. I have called folks at the city and talked about what happens at peak hours at the elementary school. They cut through that gas station, cut through the gas pump sometimes. 20,000 gallons of fuel are stored there. People have been killed there, okay? So I look back in the city's website, and that's the first picture that you have is the 2019 traffic study Skipper did that recognizes what's going to happen. I think that's a good plan. I understand that's moving forward. We want to be part of that. I'm sure that will be built, or most of it, before we get anything open here. This is not something that will have an opening in 2025.
At this point in time, I think there's been a question about the 4 things that were asked of the council, and I think it would be appropriate to restrict the responses to those 4 things.
Thank you.
Okay, I did traffic was
Traffic.
first. Buffer. During this process, we were informed in our meetings with planning staff that there would be a 15 or 20-foot buffer required. We went to 25, said, no, let's double it and go to 30 because there is a pretty significant canopy.
They've got aerial photos that we can bring up if we
I
need
think
to.
you need to see it. There's heritage oak trees and that, and you can save that. The root system won't get damaged. It will give you a vertical buffer too. Good. That would be up to you guys. Quality. The grocery is what we're after building. It's 30,000 square feet. Our map shows the possibility, our survey, of a 60,000-foot grocer and strip. Okay, 4,000 foot of shops on one side, 6,000 on the other, 30,000 foot of grocery. It's going to give some open space in the back with the 30-foot buffer. Done a lot of these things. Done subdivisions around them. I don't know a grocery store that doesn't have housing around it. Kroger, we did the subdivision behind Kroger before it was expanded. Lots behind houses, behind Winn-Dixie on South College, and Hickory Woods behind the University Crossing subdivision. It's compatible. Your ordinance controls that. Your ordinance is very, very strict, very technical. There's FAR ratios, floor area ratio, that will help design that buffer. We've sized it down. We'd like to move in the first phase with about 40 or 45,000 square feet. Your ISR is your impervious ratio, which will help control that. Size. Today, I got some phone calls late this afternoon about size it down. We're at 112,800 feet on right under 14 acres. If you look at that ratio, as it stands, and we won't ever build all of that, okay? That's at 8233 square feet per acre. The 2-acre shopping center that's approved, fixing to start just to the east of this, so it's got a ratio of 10,000 square feet, or 10,600 per acre. So we're below that. You have approved other shopping centers in that area, 2 to the east, 1 to the west. We want to fit in as we can. Those were the 4 points that I had that came up that were concerns.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. If we have more questions, we'll ask you to come forward. Appreciate you coming and answering those questions. All right. Council, questions, thoughts, comments?
I got a question I want to ask, because I know Beth probably got a whole lot of them, so I want to go ahead and get mine out of the way. I just, I guess, and I know he was cut off when he made this statement about no drive-through, and then he said, for the time being. What do you mean about that?
Do you want to, hold on a second, Mayor, if you want to, do you want to just get your questions out to Mr. Haley now as far as you guys know it, or how do you want to do this?
I might need
I'm not sure what everybody's gonna want to say, so I think
Totally
we'll just
fine.
take them as they come. So with the
Absolutely.
council's
I don't
pleasure,
have to
we'll have Mr.
remember.
Haley come back.
The zoning that we have is conditional use, correct? It's a CDD, PD overlay. You have a lot of control. Okay? The drive-throughs, and have been approved at these others. Y'all have approved these as that these smaller shopping centers to the east and west of this. They were disallowed at planning commission. And we said, that's fine. Maybe we come back and present it down the road. We have a pharmacy that strong use they will not come without the drive-through. We have a bank, right? These are not Sonics, okay? So we can come back and ask, is my understanding.
I'll clarify when you're finished asking him your
Okay,
questions.
Yeah.
We can clarify for you in just a second, Connie.
Okay.
You have
There's
anything
not a
else,
shopping
Mr.
center
Haley?
in Auburn that's been approved without a drive-through.
Okay, because I guess my question to that is because when he first started off, he said that there would be no drive-throughs. And so, so to me, that sounds like that's in concrete, you know?
Yes,
So,
ma'am,
but then
I-
you come back and say for the time being.
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly right. I'll, what happened is the request was made for fast food with drive-through among other uses. The planning commission, based on their public hearings that night, did not recommend to you fast food restaurants with drive-throughs be allowed in this location at this time. Mr. Haley is merely referring to the fact that if you were to proceed with this tonight, he could come back and ask later again for fast food with drive-through, but it would be over with at this juncture as the planning commission forwarded to you. In essence, for the fast food restaurants with drive-throughs to return, a council member would actually have to add that back in, and that comes at conditional use, which is 2 agenda items from now. But it's correct, they are out of the picture for right now unless the council adds them back, or much down the road if Mr. Haley comes back with a separate application, assuming this is approved tonight.
So, so just to make me understand, because
Sure thing.
So just say if he build a bank and the bank don't have a drive-through, but he could come back and add later and add a drive-through to that existing bank, or are we talking about?
With your
something-
permission of the city council, correct. But right now, the planning commission also threw out drive-throughs on the banks. So that is also not allowed per what was forwarded to you. A bank can be there, but not one with a drive-through.
There can be no
Okay, so-
drive-throughs unless we allow them.
That's correct.
So how would that, I guess I'm just really confused on that
It
part.
is
because-
complicated. There
it
is no
because
question.
How would, because you would still, that would still add square footage to that building. So I thought everything is based on square footage.
So the footprint of the building itself is based on that. Would be an outdoor space, and you are correct, Connie, without coming back through the planning commission and city council, unless something changes in a later agenda item, drive-throughs are not gonna be allowed here, assuming you even approve the CDD base zone that is under the request right now. But that is out completely unless this body or planning commission recommends, and you guys can do whatever you wish. Unless this body adds it back, it's not happening. And none of this is happening unless you vote to approve it tonight either. You're totally right.
Okay. Anyone else have a question or a comment?
I have several. You have some? No, okay.
Okay, please go ahead, Ms. Whitten.
Okay, bear with me. Let's get traffic out of the way. Can we talk about the timeline for traffic and what we would require of the applicant should the CDD be approved?
We certainly can. Should the CDD be approved, or
Yeah,
if
it
the
should
whole
the
thing?
CDD be, well, I mean,
CDD in and of itself won't drive the traffic study, not trying to give you a staff nuance.
thank you.
But the
Yes.
whole,
Should the CDD be approved and subsequent
Things,
two
yes.
actions be approved?
Mr. Cummings, you or our traffic engineer / city engineer, all combined in one, want to answer that this evening?
Well, I guess I can start. We've had much discussion about, what happened out there. In fact, as you're well aware that there's, in the plan, improvements for North Donahue Drive and Farmville Road, and we've had much discussion about that and timing, moving some of that forward. I'll let the interim city engineer speak more to the schedule of where we sit right now as we're trying to, expedite and move along the intersection improvements at Farmville and North Donahue.
So we actually have accelerated the schedule of that based on the potential development here and the rest that's going on with the new schools. We are under design now for the first phase, of North Donahue, which is from Saugahatchee to the bridge, or from Shook Jordan to the bridge. And then we are also talking with a consultant now about continuing the second phase, which would include the intersection of Farmville and North Donahue. And we hope to get that under design early this spring if this is approved.
So to kind of further that, if this is approved, it would be under design, and it would take approximately a year to design it, and then we would bid, and it takes about a year of construction. So it would be late summer of '27, we think it would be complete. I'll also have them speak in case this is, if I'm understanding you correctly, what does this mean for what the development would have to do in terms of, and hearing some citizen comments, some concerns relative to timing of this development and when would improvements be delivered. Scott or Brandy?
Well, we'll definitely be looking at a development agreement for this development should it get approved, as we would with any other development. Most of the development, well, all the developments up there, residential, have we have agreements with them. They're contributing towards these improvements, as would we expect this one. We would evaluate to the full extent of what's required for this development from a transportation infrastructure standpoint, and they would contribute in kind what their pro rata share would be, as others have done. So the thing that we would have to look at carefully with this development is, as we would any other development, is if taking on the lead of this is making sure that that the improvements are done in advance of the need with the development. So normally what that would relate to in a development agreement is that certificates of occupancy would not be issued until the infrastructure is available to support that use. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So in essence, the developer would need to perform any portion of improvements they're directly responsible for, say it's turn lanes. Otherwise, they're paying a pro rata share of every development in the area. Sections of the preserve are paying it. Old Sanford, I mean, all kinds of developments are paying into widening of Donahue. They're not directly responsible for doing that. The city is. And so they would have to have paid into the fund, and they would have to perform their improvements before a certificate of occupancy would be issued. Per our traffic studies, you have to mitigate your traffic impacts. However, for this development, while it will generate traffic, it is not solely responsible for all the traffic that already exists at the intersection. So it's a timing issue, but the goal ultimately, and Mr. Haley can speak to this better than me, or Mr. Renfro, should he proceed, is it's not an overnight situation. You're talking probably a 12 to 24 month time frame at the fastest to get the grocery open, and I think you can see nodding if it'll take a little bit. We don't have any development plans submitted for this at this time, meaning there's a lot of design and other things that have to go on, but generally speaking, to traffic improvements are supposed to align with timing related issues. The challenge for us is the city is on the hook to widen the intersection with contributions from a lot of developers, and that's a nuance that's challenging. We've got to go design and bid and build. And the residents are right, it will take a year plus to build it, and there will be disruptions in the area. We've dealt with this all over town, and it's just part of growth. In terms of when we widen intersections, it's not easy.
Quick clarification, Megan. When you said late summer of '27, what was that? And that's just an estimate out there. Was that the phase one that's already being planned, or phase 1 and 2?
So mid-late summer of '27, we would have both phases constructed.
Kind of coincide with the high school opening, but the initial thought was in our CIP, this would lag slightly behind. The goal was to get, that's capital improvement plan, was to get the section from Sugar Jordan Parkway to the Saugahatchee Creek widened first, because the high school was there. And if you want to go back, why did the traffic signal go up? The elementary school caused the need for the traffic signal. However, we don't have right-of-way acquired yet. The developer will work with us on that to widen the intersection, so the traffic signal went in as part of that. But then, no, there are not turn lanes on on Farmville, as some residents have requested with the elementary school. That can only happen when we widen the intersection. There's not room there to do it now.
Okay, thank you. Buffering, can we discuss how the buffering was determined based off?
Can you put up the site plan? Sorry. Go ahead, Beth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, how buffering is determined, since it's been pointed out in the public hearing that it seems that multiple buffering requirements or maybe exist in other areas that are much more vast, or it's not the right word, they're stronger buffers in other areas compared to what is being, i.e. required of 15 feet and then suggested as being accepted by the developer as a doubling of 30 feet.
So before the planning director gets into how that's calculated, to speak to a number of other developments, there are Sam's Club being one of them. It's a 100-foot strip of development district housing zone property that doesn't allow commercial development to be in that zone. This is left over from 1984 when the zoning ordinance was created. That buffer used to be 400 feet. It was reduced to 100 feet, the DD8 zone. And so part of that is de facto, the commercial development cannot be built in there. There's a similar situation at the Walmart neighborhood market that is just down Donahue and Shug. There's a DD8 zone, plus it's a Alabama power transmission line. So it wasn't necessarily a requirement of the zoning ordinance, the planning commission, or anybody else. There were other factors at play that did this. This property came along later, well after the zoning ordinance, came into effect. And so a lot of the bigger buffers elsewhere were not necessarily a function of a requirement directly by the use itself. It was other things that had already been done years ago. And so that's a little bit, DDH years ago was required to be in between comprehensive development district and NC zones. And that was protecting existing established neighborhoods in 1984. When those neighborhoods were there, the zoning ordinance came along, and that was part of the negotiation at the time, was to have these strips. And that was to create, DDH doesn't allow commercial, but it does allow a variety of housing types. And so that's how that happened years ago.
And so because we have a DDH neighborhood that's abutting currently a rural zone, and if we're considering an intense zoning change to a CDD, the residents are stuck with only 15 feet?
Correct, and I'll have our planning director talk a little bit more. The theory of this zoning ordinance is, and again, this is not my theory as the city manager, this is the theory of performance zoning, which we have, is that all uses can coexist as a function of buffering. And so as a function of buffering, there are distances that are prescribed in the zoning ordinance that took that into account. Those are just regulatory things we have, and I'll have our planning director speak to how that works.
Thank you. So buffer yards, just kind of like we mentioned, are central tenet to the ideology and I guess the methodology behind performance zoning. And so all uses, and I think CDD is a perfect example of this. There's a myriad of uses that can go in CDD. Like I said, on Saugahatchee over by Anders Court, I mean, you got small warehouse and you got light industrial with Young's Plant Farm. There's a daycare and there is a single family residence all behind a park, and it's all the same zoning district. And the only thing that really kind of allows that to happen is the different buffers in between them. And so the buffer sizes are determined by the land use intensities. And so the land use intensities imposed, I guess like proposed in the development, go all the way up to an 8. Most of them are about a 7. And they abut the residential neighborhood, which is a land use intensity of a 4, and that is determined by density and then also the intensity of the use. And so a majority of what is proposed is kind of in the development are road service uses, and like I said, that's a land use intensity of 7. And so we have a table that then kind of prescribes what the buffer yard should be. They're 15 feet. Like I said, I mean, just kind of from a lot of the uses that are allowed to coexist within CDD and kind of cross town, buffers are determined, and this is the table that has determined them, and 15 feet was determined to be the necessary buffer in between the residential and the proposed commercial.
That's purely by ordinance. That's the only choice the staff has, is exactly what the ordinance says. So then that was doubled by the developer.
Correct. And so required was 15, and what was, so I guess let me back up. So what was required was 15, and what was provided was 30. The applicant did ask for a waiver that was granted at Planning Commission for the east side to go down on the buffer, and that was only granted because the east side of the property immediately abuts I guess what looks like the elementary school from a map, but if you look at it on the aerial, that's 400 feet of woods. We've measured it, and that's at the slimmest portion of that. So that's why the Planning Commission felt comfortable granting the buffer to encroach upon that, because there are no structures there.
At this time?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So we made decisions about what's there at this time?
Correct.
Okay.
Buffering is a function of what is there, developed or undeveloped, yep.
Okay. So, okay. It's just, I know there was a mention of smaller commercial approvals on the east and west side of Farmville. I would like to make mention that those are commercial uses that were approved in conjunction to residential that has yet to be built in a different product than single-family homes, that they're townhomes, abutting that commercial. So there's a very stark difference in what that looks like in a much smaller scale than what is being proposed at this corner with these uses with that buffer. I know aesthetics are something that are driven by a very different mechanism and are not really under our guidance and control at this stage of what we're considering. There was some questions about property values. Is this the opportunity that we can talk about what a CDD zone may impact as far as property values are concerned with the neighboring homes?
Two quick things. Do you want our legal counsel to address why the council has no purview over the aesthetics?
That'd be great.
If you would like for that. And then on the second part of that, he can also address what your purview is over property values or not.
Thank you.
In relation to the first question, which is about architectural review, our zoning ordinance is simply not set up to allow for large-scale generalized architectural review of proposed commercial building. There are some limited restrictions that apply to the downtown area and some restrictions that apply to certain urban neighborhoods around the downtown area. But outside of those geographic areas, there are not any general architectural type restrictions within our zoning ordinance. There's no process for review of architectural renderings within our zoning ordinance. There's no questions answered by the zoning ordinance about who would do that, how they would do that, when they would do that, and what purview they would have over those plans. So in general, our zoning ordinance just does not allow architectural review. There are some material restrictions that would apply because this is a corridor commercial development, but those materials used within the development don't dictate the architectural scale or overall look of this particular commercial zone.
Also, the state law does not really afford the city many opportunities to regulate architecture outside of a historic district.
That's correct.
Okay.
As to the second item, potential increases or decreases in property values. Alabama is not a state that has any statute or case law which specifically allows the city council to consider that factor in making a zoning decision.
So it sounds like if we don't find something that is based off of health, safety, welfare, which I can point to several, that we don't have a whole lot of control.
Our zoning ordinance certainly affords the city council the ability to add conditions into a PDD overlay. Conditions which would address safety, health, and welfare concerns that have been brought forward either by council members, by staff, or by the public. But in deciding whether or not to rezone from rural to CDD, which is the first and only decision at this point in time before the council,
Correct.
it's a function of whether or not the proposal meets the zoning ordinance's requirements for rezoning from rural to CDD in light of both the comp plan and the future land use plan.
And there's probably other questions, and I'll hold my comments until the end if I can.
Sure, that'll be
you.
fine. Yes, Mr. Griswold.
Yes, I have a question. If this remains rural, what is allowed there?
I'll have our planning director answer that. It's pulling up the table of permitted uses from the zoning ordinance.
All right. Where we at? Okay, so pretty much, there's, you got a slew of permitted uses just kind of in, for the residential. So residential is only single family housing. And then, I mean, you got a lot of large scale projects, just kind of like agricultural, obviously, you got forestry. There are rural event centers that are conditional, but there's nothing kind of like, the single family, attached single family houses or townhomes, that would not be allowed in rural development. If you want to go down, you got things like daycare centers that could be allowed, but a lot of the intenser uses that would be found kind of in an urban area, those are not allowed at all. They're not considered to be a conditional use or anything. I guess you could also get a quarry, but conditional. So I mean, it opens itself up to another intensity of uses, but also restricts it from a lot of the urban development features, like I said, kind of that would be bigger commercial nodes or like different types of housing typologies and things like that.
You could also have a retail or wholesale nursery there. That's allowed. And a few other things like an amphitheater, other things like that could be permitted conditionally if you were to vote for it. And that's not a ton of things that aren't agricultural based, and a vet office with a kennel. A church, a cemetery, that kind of thing.
Questions? Any other questions from staff? Yes, Mr. Moore.
The developer has indicated a willingness to accommodate concerns and issues that have been raised tonight and in the days preceding this meeting. And he's also indicated that he wants to use local architects and residents to help him look at these concerns. Is there a mechanism that would allow him to do that and before we vote it, I guess?
There's not a mechanism on the CDD zoning. There's not a condition. There is not something that can be legally binding placed thereof.
So
there is on the PDD and conditional uses, but there isn't at this juncture. I'll remind you, and I'm not encouraging you to do this, but the prevailing side of any vote in the same meeting has the right to recall a vote during the same meeting. So if you get down the path, you can go back to anything you've done in this meeting and recall it, but it is in the majority of the prevailing side, whoever had the majority of that vote. So Councilman Griswold asked earlier, is there a way to do conditional CDD? There is not. But if you got down the path and couldn't live with conditions, you have a right to go back to where you were in the same meeting, not a subsequent meeting. So we're here at your pleasure to advise you accordingly.
That's only if you're on the prevailing
Yes,
side
sir.
of the vote.
Correct.
Right.
I have a question for the mayor. Right now, we're looking at a single item, the rezoning, but a lot of the comments that we had covered a variety of these next several items. Are we going to have public hearings on each individual item still? And we're going to be voting on them separately, is that correct?
That's correct. That's what I've been instructed to do by our legal counsel. Yes. Yep.
Paul, quick clarification here. I understood you when Beth asked what we're voting on here with zoning. There may be concerns with regard to health, safety, and welfare. Those should not be considered.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
In our decision to rezone the property, those would be addressed
No, there should
with the PDD overlay, or is that?
Yeah, you can certainly consider health, safety, and welfare concerns in deciding whether or not to rezone. You just can't affect them by adding conditions into the rezoning.
That can only be done
At the
next step.
PDD. And that's the reason, as the planning director stated, that the staff recommended approval of this because it was CDD with the PDD overlay. Without that, that decision may have been different.
Thank you.
Anyone else with a question? Okay, any comments from the council? Comments?
I do.
Please.
First, I'd like to thank the 60-plus residents, maybe more, that I've heard from over the course of the last several weeks. Your sentiments have been heard, especially by me. This is Ward 3. We've had other situations in the past, which I know do not equate to this, but in hearing the concerns of our residents, we have listened intently and responded appropriately to those concerns. And I think this is a situation where the health, safety, welfare is definitely in question with regard to the proximity and intensity of a mixed use possibility in this area at this time. And as I said before, I think it's too much too soon. And it concerns me that we don't have a lot of flexibility and influence on other items that certainly don't impact this particular decision, but give me pause and concern. And I just wanted to say thank you to the residents for coming out, for being involved and engaged. And I hope that this council hears you like I have heard you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Moore.
When we started this, the mayor asked that it be done with dignity and aplomb, and I think it was. I think on both sides, there's been a willingness to work together. And I don't want to miss that opportunity. As Councilman Witten said, I think this has gone very far, very fast, and there is an encouragement that I hear that people want to work through the issues that have been presented. So I'd like to see that happen somehow.
Anyone else? Okay, Lindsay with a roll call.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Mormon,
No, ma'am.
Parsons,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Witten,
No.
Adams,
Yes.
Koblenz,
Yes, ma'am.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Anders.
No.
All right, that motion fails, and therefore, I mean, it did not carry an affirmative vote. So from a rezoning standpoint, with the CDD item failing, that will remove item 9A2 from the agenda, and when we get into resolutions, that will remove another item.
Correct.
All right, so
All right,
if-
resolutions.
if you are ready to move to resolutions, give me just a second here. Item 10A1 is a request for conditional use approval of a road service use car detailing shop for property located at 1975 Mall Boulevard, Suite 205 in the Comprehensive Development District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this request at its February 13th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the city council about this, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Okay. Seeing no one coming forward to speak on this issue, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Item 10A2 is a request for conditional use approval of a road service use and automotive repair facility for property located at 2860 East University Drive in the Comprehensive Development District with a planned development district overlay. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its January 9th meeting. This item was postponed from the January 21st City Council meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the city council regarding this, please come forward and give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
Just a
Please.
a quick point of clarification. This project is on a large amount of land, 6-point-something acres, I believe.
It actually got reduced. Something on the consent agenda was actually approving its administrative subdivision, and so it got reduced to a smaller lot. I don't know if you recall the size.
Yeah, it's 1.8 acres.
That's the actual Christian Brothers Automotive.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
but
that-
I mean, the remainder of the land.
Is not under consideration.
well-
So that was the problem in January, is they had yet to subdivide it. Councilman Griswold also had some questions about adjoining property owner notifications, other things. That's all resolved by this administrative subdivision plat being complete.
And
It's
as
on a
it
different
stands
parcel.
now, though, it's as far away from the subdivision as it can be.
Yes, sir.
Is the
Correct.
point I wanted to clarify.
Yep, correct. It's no longer abutting residential property.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
And as a reminder, item 10A3 is no longer on the agenda, as item 9A did not gain approval, and item 9B was de facto pulled. So item 10A4 is a request for conditional use approval of an industrial use which is manufacturing for property located at 2555 West Tech Lane in the industrial zone. Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its February 13th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
I have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council regarding this, please come forward and give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Item 10B authorizes a tax abatement for the General Electric Company doing business as GE Aerospace for the acquisition of new equipment for their facility located at 2400 Innovation Drive in Auburn Technology Park West. The company anticipates hiring 10 new employees and investing approximately $35.3 million over the next several years.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Congratulations to our industrial development team. This is a great addition to our community. Any comments or questions? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Item 10C authorizes a contract with Nomad Global Communication Solutions for the purchase of a Nomad mobile command vehicle in the amount, for the police department, if I could speak tonight, in the amount of $874,242.82.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Certainly want to thank our federal delegation for carrying most of the freight on the payment of this. Coach Tuberville,
Correct.
for one, was the main supporter of this, and we're just grateful to have his support. Any other questions or comments from council? Yes, son.
I'm sure he's listening tonight, and appreciate your comment, Mayor. But this, the background on this is that we share use or have borrowed use
Correct.
for this. We don't have one as,
You are correct. Only Lee County Sheriff does.
and the way that it will be used is at football games or at other emergencies that arise.
That's correct. I can have our Public Safety Services Executive Director Matthews explain a little more.
Certainly, this vehicle will be used for a variety of events, any large events where we have a security footprint where we need operations to be remotely outside of the building. We can use it for those. It'll be there at game days. We have used them at search and rescue events. We've used them at airplane crashes. We've used them at, any large event that requires us to have remote operations. It's a communications and command platform, so it has a lot of radio assets, cameras, networking gear. We'll be able to store operations equipment in there. It has office space, a working meeting space. We'll be able to have our telecommunicators that work in our 911 center can work out of this vehicle as well. It'll have that full capability.
And you left out the important thing that the people have to work that there's also a restroom facility for. So one of the things I left out of your memos, it's not working in the current thing, but when we are on site somewhere, we have to go into a neighborhood because we have a situation where we need command posts, even at a major fire scene, it could be utilized, and it's a place for everybody to gather, to communicate. And then also it does give us full backup capabilities if certain communication systems go down.
And it'll be shared in the same manner that the sheriff's department's vehicle has been shared with us for many years. Our justification for this that we wrote to Senator Tuberville was that it's going to be a regional asset. And so it'll just be a matter of any of those public safety entities requesting the vehicle for their large event, and then we would make that happen.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Yes, I generally oppose the purchase of new equipment in lieu of replacement vehicles. But because of the unique nature of this and the fact that we do not have one, and it's not really duplicative of anything the city already owns, I will be fully supporting this. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
About 25 years too late, but that's better than never. So. Had to vote for it. Thank Coach Tuberville.
All right, Chief. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Item 10D assents to the vacation of a portion of right-of-way and a drainage and utility easement located in Northgate subdivision Phase 2 and further authorizes the mayor and city manager to execute a quitclaim deed relinquishing the property to Northgate Development LLC. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. This time I'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council regarding this, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Mayor, those are all the items of business we have for you this evening.
Okay. I do see a young man that's got his Boy Scout uniform on. Normally, we recognize our scouts when they come to our council meetings. We normally do that at the first of the meeting, and I'm sorry I did not recognize you and see you, so please forgive me for that. But we'd love for you to stand up and tell us what troop you're in and what you're studying and what's your name. Great. Well, we're glad to have you and come back again sometime. You might have got more than you bargained for tonight. How about that? Okay. All right, Roberta, this is the time for Citizens Open Forum. This is your opportunity to speak to the City Council about anything that might be on your mind. We ask that you address your comments to the council, and you can please come forward and please share your name and address for the record. And you have 3 minutes to speak to the council. Sorry to make you come twice.
No, thank you. I'm Roberta Jackal, 531 Hamilton Hills Court. I always love an opportunity for a do-over. So anyway, so thank you, and I apologize for being premature here. As I started saying, this is really impulsive. I was doing my rehab this afternoon at the Opelika Sportsplex and just feeling sad and a little aggravated that I had to drive all the way out there again. And because of my beautiful knee here, I have been recommended to do a lot of water rehab and also to ride a stationary bicycle. I live probably all of 5 minutes from the up-and-coming Lake Wilmore Community Center, and that's why I'm here to speak. And the last time I spoke at council was more than 5 years ago. It was when Health Plus was about to close, and Health Plus closed January 30th, 2020, so 5 years ago. And at that time when I came and spoke, a number of us came several times, and we were promised that there would be an indoor swimming pool built. In fact, that there would be a real natatorium built. Well, that hasn't happened, and then it came that the smaller rec center was proposed, and that we were told it would be available this past June, and here it is, 7, 8 months later, whatever it is, and it's still not open. I understand the basketball court is open, but the fitness room is not open, and the pool is not open. And the pickleball courts aren't open yet either. So I've had to pay Opelika. I really don't want to give them my money and that time in getting on I-85. I want to be able to exercise and do my rehab in Auburn like many other retirees. And I'm frustrated. Other people are frustrated because I was on city council many times. People assume I know what's going on in this community. And they keep asking me, when is Lake Wilmore going to open? And how much is it going to cost? And tell me some details. And I say, I don't know. I'm not privy to any of this. All I know is I've gone a few times on Sundays when the workers aren't there to kind of peek around and see what is happening. Allison has been very gracious and has answered some emails for me, which I really appreciate. So I'm really here because of this paucity of information about the progress of this facility. I know building municipal buildings is very complex. We just want to know what the fee structure will be, what the hours will be, and a little more information about why there's been so much delay. And that, for example, there are people who are trying to determine whether to renew their one-year memberships at alternative facilities. So why can't information be posted? Why is it taking so long for simple things like fee structures and hours to be made available?
Thank you, Ms. Jackal.
So
We
thank
appreciate
you.
your comments.
Any information that can be provided,
Thank
I
you.
would really appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say we're really proud of our new community center, and I, for one, cannot wait till every bit of it is open. And I'm disappointed it's not all open right now, too, Ms. Jackal. Sure am. All right, who will be next?
Hi, good evening. My name is Elizabeth White. I live at 637 Forest Hill Drive. I don't need to tell you that we have a beautifully diverse community consisting of college students drawn to a top-ranked research institution, a thriving workforce, and families with children attracted by our strong economy and highly regarded, rapidly growing public schools, and retirees, many of whom choose to settle here because of our mild climate, low cost of living, and rich cultural experiences. I also don't need to tell you that there's a lot of anxiety in our community right now, as swift changes are being enacted at the national level that we anticipate having aftershocks here and challenging so much that we hold dear and have admittedly taken for granted. Here are just a few questions on my mind tonight. If the Department of Education is eliminated or hollowed out, will school lunch and special education programs, for instance, still be funded? And will the 31% of Auburn University students who use FAFSA to secure federal loans still be able to afford an Auburn degree? Is the university going to remain at the forefront of research without the millions from federal grants, such as the $413 million from the National Institutes of Health? Are we facing an impending food crisis with the potential loss of USDA funding for the East Alabama Food Bank and SNAP benefits that provide for people who otherwise do not have money or buying power? What will become of those elderly, families with children, and disabled people who make up the majority of SNAP recipients when they no longer have those benefits to shop for groceries at our local stores? And as tornado season begins, if NOAA is indeed broken up and downsized and the National Weather Service and hurricane centers as parts of NOAA are consequently less effective, will the sirens still sound? I respectfully request that the mayor and the Auburn City Council assure us that you are staying informed, and as community leaders, you are making phone calls to advocate for all of your constituents, especially the most vulnerable, the least of these. Like all good leaders, I pray you will hope for the best, but plan for the worst. With earth-shaking plans spelled out so clearly, I urge you, do not be caught flat-footed. Thank you.
Thank you. Who will be next?
Hello, my name is Teresa Heckman. I live at 917 South Gay Street, and following what Mrs. White said, I'm also wondering, in light of the considerable changes happening at the federal level, how the city is planning to address the potential effects on our community. If 35% of AU students who receive federal student aid, what sort of economic impact should we anticipate if those funds are delayed or canceled? Does the city anticipate any job losses in the manufacturing sector due to tariffs on aluminum and steel? Would you consider hosting a town hall and inviting leaders such as the university president or Congressman Rogers to speak to these concerns so the citizens can have an outlet for their questions to be answered? So regardless of how anyone voted, these issues affect all of us, and I think increased communication is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Who will be next? Okay. We'll close citizens' open forum. Does the council have any response or anything they'd like to say?
I just want to ask a question.
Please.
Okay, so we had a bunch of questions tonight, so, are we gonna answer those questions, or we're gonna wait and give them answers, or how's that gonna work?
Questions from,
From the people that just came?
I don't have the answers to any of those
I know-
questions.
I know you don't have them tonight, but I'm just saying, is
And,
there an opportunity?
And
for
I'm not
those
sure what the
questions
outcomes are gonna be.
answered?
It's pretty early, so.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, we employ as a city some federal governmental affairs representatives that help us with legislation in Washington. We are on the daily reviewing things. We are in contact with Auburn University, as that's a very strong partner of ours. The city council already funds certain things for a number of agencies that could be wrapped up, and our biggest challenge is, I understand, hey, we don't want to be caught flat-footed, but the city, like everyone else, is having just as much trouble discerning what actually is going on and what actually is impacted until it happens. Advocacy can happen, but this is also a nonpartisan council, and I think the speakers addressed that pretty clearly. But our challenge right now is until we know interpretation, because things come out one day and they come out to the extreme. So at first I was left to almost say to all of you, I'm not sure where any of our federal grants stand, including the one you voted on, a command vehicle tonight. And then 48 hours later, we get a directive that none of that is impacted at the moment. And so I agree with what everyone's had to say. We're trying to be as nimble as we can in our interpretation. We'll get information to the council. And I think it is valuable to learn from our citizens that they're concerned that some federal programs may be cut, and what do we need to look at in our budgeting process to address that. The good news is we're, at the staff level, we're starting our budgeting process. Council doesn't need to worry about that. We'll be in that in the summer, but we will absolutely pivot as this council desires to do what we need to do when we know more, and collaborate with who we need to collaborate. And if the council decides they want to advocate on behalf of something for the city, we'll gladly do that as well.
Okay, so.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, as well, I would encourage both Ms. White and Ms. Heckman to email us, and we can begin a written correspondence as well. You can find our shared email on our website.
And what about Ms. Jackal's question? Is there any type of timeline?
Well, as the mayor indicated, there is not a staff member in this room that is happy that Lake Wilmore is not completely open. However, we will never deliver subpar services to the citizens of Auburn. That's not acceptable to me in the role that I'm in. And right now, those areas of Lake Wilmore that are not open are not ready to the quality standards the staff expects to be able to open them to the public. So if they're not open, they're not ready to be open. I am happy, and we are happy to divulge moving forward what our membership fee structure is, but our goal was to launch that with a, hey, you're going to get X amount of period free to try it out and so on, and that period has passed. To Roberta's frustration, staff is frustrated as well, but until some things are operating and functional the way that they need to be, and again, Allison Hall, our Parks and Recreation Director, has talked with a number of citizens. We also have a very active contract with a contractor who's doing what they can to correct some things that just need to be corrected, and I need to be careful about talking about contracts and anything else. They're very committed to correcting what needs to be corrected or things that have gone wrong, but we also have full test of mechanical systems. This pool is heated. It's covered. People have talked about, well, why did you not install a dehumidifier out of the gate? Well, once we had a pool that was uncovered, some of the things that Roberta described caused us to cover the pool that was not anticipated in the original design. And then some things didn't get in there. In the winter, we have to dehumidify, or we're going to rust out everything that we've got. So we're trying to get the pool open at a point to then we'll have to close it eventually to put the dehumidification system in and the roll-up doors. The whole goal was to not slow down opening. However, mechanical systems and some challenges with the pool decking need to be corrected. We're happy to talk with any citizen at any time about anything we can talk about. And I'm happy to release to the public the user fees. My challenge from the seat in which I sit is I don't want to create unrealistic expectations for when our citizens will be able to use it. So our hope was to launch the potential for membership fees And, you know, we were planning to do a free period unless that's changed, Allison. We want to give everybody a chance before they have to make a membership decision. I can speak to the fact that this is not the same membership. There's no longer you pay $30 and it's good for life. All again, there'll be a monthly membership cost that will include swimming, and we'll put that out there. We're trying to make it affordable for families. We're also opening up membership to people who work in Auburn but don't live in Auburn, because they pay an occupational tax, and so they will get access. But we will not be able to provide monthly memberships to non-residents otherwise out of the gate because the center is going to be overrun. There have been some roof leaks in the vicinity of the fitness facility that have been corrected, and we're recalibrating equipment and doing some other things, and we will open that as soon as we can. Keith, did I miss anything?
No, ma'am, you're entirely correct, and I'll just echo what you said, that, you know, staff is working diligently with the general contractor to get us to the finish line so we can open this to the public. We made it very clear that we did not want to open this facility as a beta test or a soft opening where we might be closing things every other day to finish work or to reconcile issues. We want this ready completely for the public use when we open it for them.
And I just asked that question because I sort of kind of feel bad when people come up here and they ask questions and we don't give them no answers. So that's the only reason why I ask you. So, you know, some answers better than no answer at all. So
Yeah, that's
thank
always
you
at the
for-
pleasure of the council. If you ask us, we will respond.
So thank you for the answer.
No problem, but I encourage anybody, if you reach out to the staff, we'll gladly talk you through it. There's nothing going on other than trying to deliver the best product possible as our citizens and the city council expect us to do.
Anyone else? Okay, is there a move to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.